Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next The Promised Neverland manga review. This one's going to be for chapter 144 and this one is called Help Us. So I think the main thing with this chapter to say is that it continues to tease us about what the reward that is requested of Emma for the promise. Now we get some progress on that in that I think there was some speculation that the reward might have had to have happened right then and then, or what it was, but it actually kind of surprises you in a way with where they go with Emma here, but still teasing we don't know what the reward is yet. As for the rest of the chapter, it's just setting up this big climactic, basically, everyone heading for the royal capital. This big showdown between everyone. Emma's back. Obviously, Ray didn't get to go see the one. Gilda, Sanju, Mujika, they're now heading there. Norman's already there. Everyone is going to meet up in the capital, and we'll see what happens. Which demons get killed or not? Does the war happen? How did they stop it? And then there's this thing lingering over the whole thing of how does the one's power or ability work? Is it magic and he can just snap his fingers and it all changes? Or is he just like a ruler who everyone tends to listen to, and so whatever he says goes? So he says, I've made a new promise, this is the way it has to be. Those are the sort of questions we have kind of coming out of it. But let's go through it in more detail. So we do get a little bit of a page that's sort of a flashback to everyone meeting up with Sanju and Mujika. Just them being aware of we're being tailed. They knew that they were being tailed, that someone should have been closer to them since we've been leaving traces for the past couple of days. And obviously the explanation for that is that Don and Gilda purposefully held back on revealing a lot of their information until effectively the last chapter. So that's just the setup for meeting everyone. And then it's just the idea that Sanju says, if they do catch up to us and they're enemies, I'll turn the tables on them. And we cut back to what we have here, which is the standoff of Sanju. Looks like he's about to just kind of kill Jin up in the tree right then and there. But he basically immediately says, surrender. If you surrender right now, I'll forgive you. Everyone's shocked by all of this. We see just how quick Sanju is. Aishi actually slams Hayato into the ground, so she kind of takes him out of action. And then Sanju super quickly kind of KOs some of the Lambda sort of Adam clones. And Mujika's just like, it's okay, he's not killing them, they're just taking a short nap. And he orders to surrender once more. And again, you have in Hayato and Jin's mind the idea that they're just fulfilling their boss's wish, and that is the order to take out demons, to pursue them here, kill Sanju and Mujika. This is a key part of the plan. Jin even going as far as to, right there with Sanju behind him, saying, stand up, I'm fine, kill them. That's when Aishi warns them in the demon language, those are irregulars from Lambda, so your simple knockout blow isn't going to keep them down, and they get back up. And it looks like it's actually going to be somewhat of a challenge for Sanju, because he's got 5 giant Adam clones that are super strong and super quick as well, coming after him. So he basically warns them that he isn't planning to hurt them, but that if you leave a single scratch on Mujika, I'll turn all of you into meat dumplings here. So he will actually hurt them and kill them if they try to harm Mujika. So I like that. It presents a kind of sort of noble cause, that he is sort of her direct bodyguard, and he's putting that above all else. He doesn't want to hurt them, but he will if it gets in the way of the one person he's trying to protect. So just as they're about to come in and fight and potentially get themselves hurt, they all kind of stop. It's almost like they sort of have heart attacks or something like that. Something goes wrong with them, and they all collapse to the ground, and they call them the spasms, the Lambda spasms, basically. And they all just collapse to the ground. It's revealed that they're not actually breathing. And the sort of twist here in all of this is that Mujika immediately rushes in to check on them. She wants to help them. And this sort of diffuses the situation a bit, in that Jin and Hayato, who are of course leading this kind of group here, who are trying to kill Sanju and Mujika, are now seeing their enemies from their perspective, the people that they were asked to kill, turn around and show care for their pursuers, and actually showing care for humans as well. In that Mujika's immediately like, Gilda, get the herbal bag for my luggage. Don, Sanju, lend me a hand. They're humans. Quickly, if we don't hurry up, it'll be too late for them. So she's worried about them dying, and you see Hayato and Jin look on in sort of shock, seeing Mujika actually caring for them, and it makes them question things a bit. But Hayato kind of points out that won't work. They need to get their medicine. Those are Lambda's spasm attacks, so he helps them kind of figure it out. Jin, we can do it. They need medicine. Let's give up, Jin. So the idea is that we have a quick cut here. Everyone gets tied up, but the idea seems to be that they let the Atom clones, the big guys, get the medicine so that they'd be okay, and then they tied everyone up. So it shows that Jin and Hayato were able to put the like well-being of their teammates above the direct mission, but along the way they've learned that not all demons are just the kind of mindless killing machines that they think they are. So I felt going into this whole situation that Hayato would be conflicted in things. I like what they did here to get to that point. Jin seems still a little bit more supportive of Norman, but I think Hayato is kind of more like he might turn sides if it comes down to choosing between Norman and everyone else. We also see sort of, they don't focus on it much here, but they do show kind of centerpiece in one of the shots here. It's just Mujika and Aishi actually shaking hands, and the idea is that they seem to be getting on very well. So like they're able to talk in like the demon language, and I like that just connection here, and that she seems to get on well with demons, and of course like a kind of girl demon that's like around her same size. You know, you can sort of see the similarity. So Mujika immediately asks to be kind of brought up to speed on what's happened, and this is where we get the sort of flashback of like them being told everything. I suppose they effectively tell her that Emma went off to the Seven Walls, Norman's going to the royal capital to try and wipe people out in the middle of the Tafari. They just fill her on the whole situation, and Mujika is like, what, royal capital? And they kind of begin to figure things out. Gilda especially figures out Norman was intending to kill them. So this is when they really kind of come to the conclusion of like, based on what was said to them by like Aishi, seeing Jin and Hayato there with everyone else, this team was sent after them by Norman with separate orders than they were even told. Like Norman directly lied to them about like getting Sanju and Mujika in on things that like, oh, we can rely on them as a last-ditch resort. No, he planned to take them out from the get-go. So everything was a lie, and the idea is they figure out he had no intention of waiting for Emma. Kill, kill, kill. That was all, you know, that he was about. Really nice shot on the top of page 15 here. It's just a really close-up shot of Gilda crying, I suppose figuring out the truth about Norman, that he doesn't really see eye to eye with them at all. He's just going ahead with his own plan. And, you know, Mujika's like, what's wrong? And I like this. Gilda has to ask them for help, Mujika for help. And she says, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm Norman's younger sister who tried to kill the two of you. It's not right of me to ask such a thing to both of you. It's not right, but if this keeps up, there's no going back. Not for Norman or all the people around him. War will break out, massive amounts of demons will die. Even if Emma comes back, I don't really want that to happen. Help us. I want to stop Norman. I beg you, please help us, cattle. So that's I think a notable moment. I like that. This is, I suppose, what Don and Gilda were sort of here to do. They were here to get Sanju and Mujika, but now they're getting them for like a separate reason. They're getting them on track to stop what Norman is doing, rather than as some separate part of some other plan that isn't actually the case for Norman. So that's pretty interesting. We then cut back to Norman's base where everyone is, and Ray's there, and he just notes that it's November 7th, 2047, 3 hours after I came back. Norman's group has already went off to the royal capital. Don and Gilda are outside searching for Sanju and Mujika, and the extinction plan seems to be progressing favorably. That's all the information you wanted to know. So, were you able to forge a promise, as it's just revealed in the next page? Emma's just here back in Norman's base, and she's just like, yep, I reforged the promise, we forged it. We can escape to the human world without anyone being killed or chased. And everyone's like, really? Really? And everyone's happy, there's a big cheer, and Ray's immediately like, what about the reward? And she's like, yeah, everything's okay with that too, I'll tell you about it later. And Ray's sort of a little bit like, oh, this is kind of important, you know, okay, I'll let you tell me about it later, but you have to spill the beans and everything. So this is when he informs her that Norman, he doesn't want to just kill the royals and the nobles, he plans on killing every single demon in the royal capital. And so this is the idea. Everyone's heading to the royal capital. Mujika says, got it, Gilda, let's head towards the royal capital then. And she asks Sanju, that's all right, isn't it, Sanju? And he basically agrees. She says, I also want to stop the war. We're friends before everything else after all. It's decided then. Let's head out, let's go to the royal capital with the kind of dual kind of final panels here of, you know, the group of Dawn, Gilda, Aishi, Mujika and Sanju heading for the royal capital at the same time as Emma and Ray are also heading there. So all of the important characters are heading there. Norman's already there. The big question in all of this, though, is definitely still, what was the reward? What is the one going to do, and how does that really get accomplished in all of this? The fact that Emma is still here means it wasn't some reward she had to give away immediately. In that, like, is there some sort of a time that she's allowed to sort of get things into place, and then later on she'll have to fulfill the reward? Or, you know, I suppose just the very nature of the reward, we're not really sure, beyond the fact that it was like, the reward is what I want is your something or other. So, you know, a lot of speculation about it is, you know, your time, your memories, or something like that. What is it? Either way, it's difficult to tell, just because, you know, Emma's obviously like been back for a little bit, and this is Ray getting her up to speed on everything that's happened since she's been gone at the Seven Walls. And then she fairly casually about things. Like, she has, you know, the typical, you know, determined Emma grin on her face, and there's a little bit of, you know, happiness there around her siblings and stuff like that. There doesn't obviously seem to be any sign of anything that is like so like serious, that the reward is some sort of a thing where it's this, she has to hold back on revealing what it is because it's so sad. They could still do that and turn the tables, and that we sort of know it is a talent that pretty much all of the kids had to learn back in like the first arc with like dealing with Isabella, is to keep their true feelings sort of under wraps so that their body language wouldn't give it away. And so they're much better at kind of holding in, you know, hidden emotions and stuff like that. Is it just Emma doing that? Or is it actually some more, like a much more surprising oddball type of reward that it's like, oh, that's actually fairly easy to do. I'm just shocked that the reward was that easy. But at the same time, there's a reason they're holding it back. There's a reason the writer is not just flat out revealing what it is just yet, that it is meant to be a big reveal. He is purposely building it up by teasing it like 3 or 4 chapters in a row. So I don't know when exactly it's going to be revealed. The impression I get is that, like, if we're right in the end game here, like theoretically, like under, you know, 15 chapters to go, they could very well hold out what the reward is until like right at the end, and it be some, you know, something that heavily relates to the end of all of this. But who really knows right now? But that's pretty much all there is to say about this. I like the decision here, in that it feels like we're getting towards that end game. Now suddenly, instead of having tons of separate plots all over the place, they're all heading towards the same thing. So it's all, they're still separate plots for now, but they're all heading towards one main thing. And I think that that's a good thing for the series to get to that point of having everyone sort of reunite. Basically, I suppose your main characters are effectively having Emma, Ray, Norman, and Mujika basically be in the same scene together, because I suppose effectively Norman has never met her before, because obviously we thought he was dead during the time when the group had their first meeting with Sanju and Mujika. But there is still a significance just between those four characters, I think, finally coming, you know, face to face in everything. So yeah, I'm happy with this chapter. I just hope that that reveal of what the reward is doesn't turn out to be very weak after so much build up. I hope that that can deliver. Now, thankfully, I think the series has a good track record of like hinting at stuff, teasing things, and then when it finally reveals it, it actually working really well. Like the fact that we got what the first promise was not that long ago, I think that worked. A lot of the reveals about the nature of the world that we've gotten so far, I think, have worked. So I have confidence that this one will as well. But they're my thoughts on chapter 144 in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.